think we are now live on Twitch. Hello all and welcome to yet another Vega Fairground Jam. Today's event is the fourth in our live sessions this week, where we'll be talking about a specific feature of the Fairground testnet that you've all been using. A quick introduction for all that are new. This is an ongoing series that we do run every single week, every Thursday at 6 p.m. BST. That's British Summer Time. But this week we're integrating it as part of the Vega Jam series, where we've been doing a different event every single day of the week. We get to talk to someone different on the Vega team. So my name is Dagan. I'm a community manager here at Vega, and I've been working with the team for a number of years. I started a lot of blockchain communities in and around London, mostly student-focused communities, and I worked a lot on London Blockchain Labs, if any of you have heard of it. That's my introduction. Yesterday, we had a fantastic discussion with our user advocate, Candida, and she went over all the ways that you can give feedback. And this was such a good session, and we got so many good ideas out of it that we're thinking of turning it into a blog post where we have all the resources on how you can give feedback in one place. And keep an eye on the Vega blog and our Medium page for when that eventually gets released. Today, we're covering the Vega ERC20 Bridge contract with Danny from the engineering team. Danny's a smart contract developer, a Solidity developer, and your guy for all things interoperability. Before I hand over to him, some housekeeping. The session will last roughly 30 or so minutes. We'll take questions throughout on the Twitch chat, so make sure to ask any questions that you have on the chat, and either people from our team will get back to you there, or we will ask the questions directly to Danny if it's a direct question for him. I'll be posting links throughout on the chat, and I'll just be interacting there, so feel free to throw anything at me. And yeah, without any further ado, I will hand over to Danny, and he will introduce the session for today. Over to you.
Thanks, Dagan. Hi, everybody. I'm Danny. I'm the Solidity guy and just overall nerd. Well, one of many. Today, I'll be going over the ERC20 bridge. High level, nothing too technical, but I will be available to answer any questions anyone has. So give me just a moment to get this up and running, and okay, we should be good. Okay. We're doing the ERC20 bridge, abridged. Okay, so first of all, what is the ERC20 bridge? Well, it's a bridge for any ERC20 type token from Ethereum into Vega that we can use as a settlement instrument on markets. It's compatible, it's ERC20 standards, so everything that everyone's used to with DeFi, it's available. It's non-custodial. The funds, there's no centralized clearinghouse, there's no single point of failure, there's no single authority that can override anybody. Any withdrawals from the bridge require the validators to give the okay, and it has to be the majority of the validators. So the security, actually that's the later one, so I'll get there. It's composable. Again, it's all ERC20. It's all on Ethereum on the bridge side. So users in the community can go in and add things they want, add features they want, use the bridge in ways that we haven't thought of yet. And finally, it's secure. The security of the bridge comes from both the Ethereum side, standard proof of work, soon to be proof of stake, and then the Vega's validator system. So it's got two layers of security between to keep users' funds safe without having that single point of failure. Okay, so high level view, there's just a couple of components. We've got the users, we've got a bridge, this thing called the event queue, Vega network itself, which has access to a local Ethereum node. This is just high level. If anyone wants to review this screenshot, I'll give that away, or I'll give that later, but we're going into details here in a second. First of all, we use CQRS, command query responsibility segregation. We use this pattern for everything, all of our bridges, because, well, let's go into what it is first. As you run commands on the bridge, on the smart contract bridge right here, Ethereum will emit events like a deposit happened or a withdrawal is complete or various other commands. We've got a lot of them. And so as people use things, as they go through the bridge, the events are raised, and then Vega can query those events to prove unequivocally that the events have happened, that they are valid, and then they can do things, and then Vega can do things like credit the user with deposits or whatever, which we'll get into in the next slide. Okay, so first we're going to go over deposit. So it starts off with a user will run the deposit function. They'll deposit however many of an approved ERC20. It has to be approved by the community prior to this deposit. But once it's approved, a user can deposit it, targeted at their Vega public key. They do that on the bridge. That's a function on the ERC20 bridge. This is a smart contract. The bridge emits the deposit event. Hey, this deposit has happened for this amount for this Vega public key. We have this system called the event queue, which just trolls through the bridge and any other smart contracts that we have, and eventually any other bridges to other blockchains that we have, and digs through the events continuously. Once it finds an event that we care about, it forwards it to the Vega node itself. The Vega node says, hey, I've got this deposit. It checks against its own isolated personal, basically, Ethereum node, verifies that it sees the exact same event that we were told, or that it was told that it should have. It verifies that, and then once that's verified, it writes it on chain and credits the user for that deposit. And that's it. That is a fully secure round trip that there's no room for injection. There's no room for funny business, I guess. So let's see. Now we'll go to withdrawals. Very similar, but it starts in this case with a user requesting the withdrawal from the network. Vega then will go through its ledgers, make sure that the withdrawal is okay. It'll isolate the funds out, and then it will issue a withdrawal order as a long multi-signatures like withdrawal order. It's a long command, basically, that is targeted for only that one individual. There's an expiry on it. It will eventually expire. The user takes that withdrawal order, and the user submits that to the ERC20 bridge, thus paying the gas and only making one transaction necessary to have this withdrawal. The bridge will verify that the signature is correct. It'll check against multi-signature control, check that all of the validators or the majority, 2/3 plus one, have said it's okay, and then it will release the ERC20 token back to the user. Once that happens, it also raises the withdrawal event, which again, the event queue picks up, which again, it gets forwarded to Vega, which again, it checks internally to verify that the withdrawal event has happened, and this closes the loop, and then the funds that were isolated can then be marked as removed. And that's it. That's the entirety of the bridge. It's not super complicated, but it's I don't know. It's fun in its complexity, I guess, simplicity. I don't know. Yeah, so that's it. I think I'm ready for questions. I didn't really time this out, so sorry. Dagan?
No worries. Thank you, Danny. That was great. You've had a few questions actually already, but before I ask any questions, before they ask any questions, I'm going to ask the very, very common question that I'm sure you get all the time. Which bridge is next?
The immediate next one is Ethereum directly rather than an ERC20. We went with the ERC20 because there's a lot of ERC20 assets out there, but Ethereum's the next lowest hanging fruit. After that, I've made jokes about Doge. And then since I started making those jokes, it's been, become traded on Coinbase Pro. It's been like it's now not a joke. So yeah, at some point I'd like to make a Doge bridge, but we need a Bitcoin native bridge rather than using wrapped Bitcoin and other things as well. So we've got a lot on our list. We've looked into some third-party interoperability providers. There's a few services and systems out there. A lot of them are open source, so those need to be investigated, but we're not there yet. So.
Nice, thank you. So I'll get to the first question from the audience. Brunswick asked a question at the start. I've been answering it somewhat, but he said, if you have some time, could you talk a bit about how Vega is a minor extractable value and flashbot proof? I linked him to the Wendy articles on our published papers. I said Klaus would be the guy. But do you have any thoughts on how Vega is flashbot proof and what we've done to make sure we're fair?
Yeah, the Flashbot one is the big. I can't talk a lot about the fairness on the Vega side of things, but as far as like flash loans and whatnot, the funds are locked in the bridge, and it has to be mined. It has to be confirmed by X number of blocks before Vega will recognize it and credit the user. And then the assets are controlled by the smart contract itself, by the bridge itself. They're entirely like locked in there, so there's no chance for that at the end of the flash loan where everything goes back. You can't do that because the balance of the smart contract has to be higher at the end, but by that specific amount. Hopefully that
nice.
Helps.
Yeah. Hopefully that does help, Brunswick. I have two questions from Omarino99. I remember him from our Vega jams from a few days ago. He's been very active in the forums.
Oh, nice.
He says, it's my understanding that the Vega bridge works by a simple number of signature thresholds from Vega's validators. Shouldn't it take into account their individual weights to reflect their power more correctly?
Honestly, that's an interesting question. That's a question that we'll have to bring up with Klaus, because that's a consensus and security question. As of right now, the answer is no. It does not take in weights and all of that. It does require 2/3 + 1. We have a lot of thought and effort put around balancing validators and balancing how many validators will exist and everything. As of now, I'm fairly confident, and I think in the discussions we've had, we're fairly confident that the just plain 2/3 + 1 majority should be fine. I mean, most of the thresholds in the system run off just basic majority of the validator size. No, I mean, the awards are different based on the validator size, but the actual weight of the votes that the validator has isn't.
Thank you. A follow-up question from the same guy. Also, is there a logic built in to update its knowledge regarding the validator set on Vega?
Yes. Yeah. There's it's a process. It is most certainly a process, but to become a validator, you have to submit the multi-signature controlled orders saying that yes, you can join and you're the interested party, so you pay the gas on that one. And to remove validators, we've talked about incentivizing, allowing someone to come in once the order is through to remove the validator, that the order just gets broadcast, and anyone who wants to repeat it to Ethereum gets to the first one to it gets whatever award would come from that. We don't know exactly the details of rewarding that, because Vega's not paying any gas for anything. It has to be the interested party. We don't have gas sitting around. We don't have a pool for this. It has to be the interested party. So we have to incentivize interested parties to run certain commands like removing of validators. But it is in the best interest of anyone doing a withdrawal to have the fewest number of validators possible. So someone will be willing to submit that order to bring the number down to make it easier for them. Ideally, there's a bunch of nuance there, but yeah, that's ideally.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, me
Marino.
too.
We have a question from Ivan Diaz Perez. They are asking, how are the bridges for other assets, stock, futures, options markets planned?
Oh, most of those things don't need individual bridges. All we really need the bridge for, well, there's two main things we need bridges for, is the deposits and withdrawals of just the basic asset, because those are the settlement instruments. So that's all we really need that for. And then the other thing would be any oracles for any pricing or whatnot. That's a future development. I think it's spec'd. It's mostly spec'd. We're well on our way down that path. But the only real interaction we need from other chains into Vega is just locking in the assets and getting the assets credited on the Vega side. Hope that helps too.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Final question. A common problem with prediction markets on crypto is that they are mostly very thinly traded or illiquid. Does Vega have a way to address this on its custom markets? Question from BBB135135.
Yes, it does. There's a massive amount of thought and research that's gone into liquidity, and that is outside of my expertise. I literally can't answer that. I'd just be pulling things out of thin air. So we can. Who's the best person to ask that?
Probably David.
Yeah, I was going to say David could probably answer that, but that's who I'd ask with that. So I apologize, but I don't like to speculate on things I'm not aware of. So
yeah, I would post that question in our Discord server, and
yeah, for sure,
one of the team will add David for you, and he'll probably give you a good answer.
Yeah.
Someone's asking when we'll be in CoinMarketCap, but you'll have to wait and see for that. Okay, that's all the questions I think we have for this week. As always, there is a Zoom room after this for anyone that wants to come and just have a chat with the team, or is looking to ask any questions to troubleshoot on anything they're experiencing with the testnet. So we're going to head over there, and we'll be there for a number of, I think, 10, 20, 30 minutes or so, depending on who turns up. I posted the Zoom link in the Twitch chat, so we'll head over there after the call. But in the meantime, or whilst you wait for next week's Vega Jam, do post questions in the Discord chat. Make sure you follow us on Twitch and come along, because this is a weekly event and we've been running it every single week for many, many months now. So we'd love to see you again next week, where Tamlin should also be back, and she'll be covering something on the market side. But yeah, until next time, and I'll see some of you guys in the Zoom room. Thanks, Danny, and see you soon. Bye.
Yeah, of course. Yep. See you over in the other room, guys. Thanks everyone for joining.